It's my privilege to welcome you to the 30th Annual Human Relations Commission Breakfast. The purpose of the Commission's awards is to celebrate those in our community who promote acceptance and respect for diversity. This year, we received 26 nominations for individuals and organizations. Several persons and organizations were nominated a couple of times, which is an indication of their service to the community. And now it's my special honor to introduce Fort Collins Mayor Karen Whiteconot.
Thank you, Elaine, and good morning, everyone. What a beautiful morning and what a beautiful day to begin, especially working with the Human Relations Commission and our awards this morning. It's just always a real pleasure to be here and to support the Human Relations Commission as they recognize the outstanding individuals and groups who are nominated for the 2012 Human Relations Award and the Women's Commission Marcel N. Wood Award. It's important that we honor the work of the various commissions that have done to bring the dignity to the people of Fort Collins, and in particular, the cooperation and the collaboration among these groups that has occurred throughout this last year. For the last 30 years, the City of Fort Collins Human Relations Commission has sponsored this award to celebrate those in our community who promote acceptance and their respect for diversity. In many cases, the nominees have been volunteers in the community for many years and in many venues. I see them constantly throughout the community providing service and volunteering. I congratulate each of this year's nominees and applaud you for all the work that you are doing in the community. We're proud to bestow this honor upon you. Fort Collins is well known for its volunteerism and its community commitment by members of the community. We're a welcoming community for all backgrounds, for all abilities, for beliefs and race, ethnicity, gender expression, and religions. And well into the future, we will continue to do this. Your work, the people in this room and throughout the community, raises that awareness in the community. And in truth, it's really that spark that ignites more and creates changes that will happen and make it even better. A special thank you to the Human Relations Commission for reaching out to the public. Also to the other boards and commissions, sponsoring events, as well as continuing to engage in discussing issues connected to the community. I particularly am proud of your outreach this past year with the Youth Advisory Commission and your work on the bullying. It's incredible the strides that the Human Relations Commission has made to collaborate with other community boards and commissions and organizations involved in promoting non-discrimination and bringing together diverse views. At this time, I'd like to recognize a few individuals. First, on behalf of the City of Fort Collins, I want to thank the Human Relations Commission and their chair and vice chair, Karen Buchanan and Elaine Boni. I know they've been very busy. I've talked with them multiple times, and I'm sure many of you have engaged with them as well. Specifically, I'd also like to offer a thank you to James Oweney, the chair of this event, and the Media and Community Recognition Committee, which planned and organized this morning's event. Thank you, James. And I also would like to thank the Women's Commission and the nominees for this year's Marcel N. Wood Award. We would not be present here without the support of the nominators who put together the packages for the individuals we're honoring today. A sincere thank you to all the guests who are in attendance, including past nominees and recipients of the Human Relations Award and the Marcel N. Wood Award. Lastly, I'd like to applaud all of today's nominees for your ongoing commitment in advancing the cause of human rights and dignity in Fort Collins community. Each of you truly earned and is most deserving of this award. Congratulations on behalf of the city, and thank you for all the work everyone in this room does to make this one of the best places to live in America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Whitekinnett, for those kind comments. Good morning, everyone. I echo the mayor's comments of welcome and appreciation for each of you for the contributions that you make to the city and the community. As chair of the Human Relations Commission, it is both an honor and a pleasure to introduce this year's keynote speaker, Mary Ontiveros. Mary currently serves as the Vice President for Diversity and Associate Vice President for Enrollment and Access for Colorado State University. As Vice President for Diversity, Mary leads CSU's diversity efforts and reports directly to the President. Her duties include leading diversity planning efforts, including assessment, evaluation, and accountability, developing strategic partnerships, alliances, and collaborations, organizing the annual diversity conference, helping to coordinate activities among on-campus units, commissions, committees, and task forces, and representing the university through networking and collaboration with outside communities, schools, and organizations. In addition, as Associate Vice President of Enrollment and Access, Mary provides oversight for the Access Center, which includes the Alliance Partnership Program. An alumna of CSU, Mary has been an employee of the university since 1974, working in leadership positions in admissions, as a faculty affiliate, and special assistant to the president of CSU Pueblo. She has also served on many university committees, councils, and task forces, and is a member of several professional organizations. Given Mary's history and accomplishments here in Fort Collins, as well as CSU's far-reaching influence, her perspective provides a unique bridge for the past, present, and future importance and impact of acceptance and inclusiveness of others. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mary Ontiveros.
Thank you, Karen. This mic is going to have a workout today, up and down and up and down. It truly is a pleasure to be here this morning, and it's a wonderful way to start your day with great food and good conversation amongst friends and people I haven't seen for a while. I also want to congratulate all of you who are being honored today. As you know, this is the 30th anniversary celebration of the Human Relations Award, and it's an award that was created to promote acceptance and respect for diversity, those people who promote that kind of notion. So kudos to everybody who has been involved in the last 30 years, those of you who have been involved in sustaining this particular effort. I think that anniversaries are a really good time to reflect on years gone by. I know whenever my wedding anniversary occurs, I definitely reflect on those years gone by. And it's a time to celebrate, of course, the milestones that we have reached, and a time to look at what was then, where we are now, and to reflect on what the future might hold. I remember, as I was thinking about this, that I too was a member of the Human Relations Commission a long time ago. As was noted, I've been on campus. This will be my 43rd year at Colorado State University. Of course, I'm counting my student years, so that kind of stretches it out. But I was a member of the Human Relations Commission, but we also did not have this award when I was a member of the commission. So again, congratulations for initiating it and continuing it. Also, when I think back then about where I was, I'm reminded of how it was that I came to the university and how I came to be working in a professional capacity. I started at the university as an assistant director of admission in charge of minority recruitment. There was a misguided notion that one person, one entry-level person, could change the statistics of the institution. And it didn't take long to realize that one individual, one entry-level individual, could not change the complexion of Colorado State University. However, it was a beginning, an important beginning. The university was actually responding to student activism because minority students had come to campus and they realized that the enrollment did not reflect the demographics of their community specifically, nor do the demographics of Colorado State University reflect the population of the state generally. So activism is really what served as the impetus for the creation of a position that I started with at Colorado State. But the university recognized that it was important to have such a position and to try to make a difference. And since that time, there has been progress. Clearly, there has been progress. There has been an introduction of lots of programs, and the attention to the issue of diversifying the campus continues to be foremost on the agenda at Colorado State University. But in that time, history has also revealed that in our desire to move forward, that we made some mistakes. And it's important for us now to recognize those mistakes. But the position was created in 1972, but I noted that even though the position was created in 72, we didn't even start tracking diversity until 1985. But since 1985, Colorado State University has more than doubled the number of Asian students on our campus. We have more than doubled the number of Black and African American students. We have more than doubled, almost tripled, the number of Hispanic Latino students. And we have almost quadrupled the number of Native American students. But what do they say about statistics? Don't let them confuse you, because even though I can talk about doubling and tripling and quadrupling, our numbers were so small to begin with. So we're absolutely not there yet, although applications and admissions for all racial and ethnic diverse categories continues to increase. But now, I'm here today, instead of as an entry-level assistant director of admissions, I come to you as a vice president for diversity. And it's a relatively new position at Colorado State University. I am just, a year and a half, I guess, into the position. And this type of position is actually relatively new in higher education. And we know that it's becoming more and more popular in business as well. In the private sector, chief diversity officers' positions were created because it was clear that if you are not sensitive to issues of diversity, that it can, in fact, impact your bottom line. Either because marketing efforts fail to understand the buying power of particular populations, or if you are insensitive to diversity, it can lead to issues of discrimination in hiring practice, and then subsequent lawsuits may, in fact, occur. But why do we need such a position at Colorado State University? Why now, when we continue to make progress? Why the enhanced commitment? Well, it's because of the same kind of reason that students expressed when they asked for the first position. And it is that we have a conviction that we cannot fully deliver on our land-grant promise if we as a university are not striving to reflect the society that we serve. And as was noted, as Vice President for Diversity, my job is to coordinate, initiate, enhance, do all of those things that Karen was talking about. She didn't mention that that's a part-time job, by the way, but that's another issue. So what is diversity? We know that the definition of diversity has changed over time. And when I mentioned that we made some mistakes, we in fact did, insofar as we had defined diversity very narrowly. And now we must recognize, as we look through our history, that certain groups have been excluded and marginalized. And we know that that was the case on our campus, and we also know that that was the case in Fort Collins. We know that there were legacies of advantage and disadvantage, and those were created in our community as well as at the university. But we also know that one of the principles of diversity advocates the inclusion of all. So while we must overcome the legacies of exclusion and marginalization, our purpose is really to create unity and equity within the university or the community experience, not only for racial and ethnically diverse populations, but for all others as well. So the university recently developed a new definition of diversity. And this was recently approved. And it includes the following dimensions: age, of course we are all familiar with that, do not discriminate on the basis of age; culture, different ideas and perspectives, because we know that different ideas and perspectives lead to excellence in the classroom. Is it that bad? Oh, poor thing. Disability, of course, is included. Ethnicity, not to be confused with race, because those are two different things. First-generation status. And for us at the university, we know that if all things are equal, the quality of a student coming in, race, sex, everything, it really is first-generation status that makes the difference. So first-generation status, and we at Colorado State University define that as any student whose parents have not graduated from a college or university. Familial status, that would be somebody who's coming in perhaps as a foster care child, for example. Gender identity and expression, geographic background, marital status, national origin, race, religion and spiritual beliefs, sex, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, and veteran status. As you can see, it is a much broader definition. We know with certainty that numbers help us to measure some progress, but that's not enough. It's not enough to say that we have doubled this and tripled that, because even if our numbers are small with some of these populations, or small in any particular category, we must strive to create an environment where people are welcomed and valued, all people. And working towards the acceptance and respect of diversity is important, of course, for many reasons. We know that diversity promotes racial understanding, acceptance, and appreciation. And individuals who really come to understand diversity realize that the lowest common denominator is tolerance. If people simply say we will tolerate various cultures, that really is the bottom. We need to get to the point of respecting. Diversity contributes to robust exchange of ideas. It helps to break down barriers among individuals of different races. And in education, we know that diversity is necessary for an excellent educational experience. Yet, while diversity, I believe, is generally regarded as a positive value, we also know that policies that encourage diversity are still often misunderstood and viewed negatively. And the implementation of diversity is still often seen as a threat. And I don't want to minimize this at all, but I have to admit that there are times when I just want to tell people, build a bridge and get over it, because this is becoming such a critical issue. And it's critical because our demographics tell us that what we see coming is really something that we all must pay attention to. We know that our population is becoming more and more racially diverse. We know that the ethnic profile of the U.S. is changing dramatically, and that is going to continue to happen. The United States, as it was known in the last 2 centuries, is going to change. It will be less Western in ethnic and cultural makeup. We know that minorities, who are roughly about 1/3 of the U.S. population, are expected to become the majority by 2042. We know that the share of Hispanic Latinos is expected to double again, and it doubled from 1990 to 2015. We know that the Hispanic population, as I mentioned, is also going to double. And in that same time period, while the Latino population was doubling, the percentage of other minorities increased by 11 times as rapidly as white populations. Racial lines are becoming more blurred, and at least 40% of all Americans have had some racial mixing in the last 3 generations. And we know that Hispanic immigrants, for example, are marrying in non-Hispanics at a rate of 35% at this time. So the blurring of racial lines is occurring, and we know that there are more and more interracial marriages. We also know that there is a low achievement of minority students, and that is one of the most pressing problems in this country. Black and Hispanic students are less likely than white students to graduate from high school, less likely to acquire a college or advanced degree, or to earn a middle-class living. And then we have to deal with this educational achievement gap between racial groups. And this has become an urgent priority all across the country. And let me explain what that is. It's the educational achievement or attainment gap. And if you were to compare across the country how students are doing in any particular state, majority students compared to minority students. So in Mississippi, that may be a comparison between black and white. And in Alaska, it might be a comparison between Native peoples and white folks. And in Colorado, it's a comparison between white and Hispanic or Latino. If you look at all of those comparisons across the country, Colorado last year was the #1 worst in the country. And when I was director of admissions, I remember boasting all the time about how Colorado, and particularly Fort Collins, had been named and received lots of recognition for being the best place to retire, the best place to raise a family, the best place to live if you're less than 24, the fittest city in the country, all of those kinds of things. But being in a state that has the largest educational attainment gap in the country is really kind of embarrassing. And I do have to make a correction. I said that it was a couple of years ago we were last in the country. We're no longer last. We're second to the last, with California now being the last. The average gap between majority and minority is about 20%, and in Colorado that gap is about 36%. So we are failing students of color. And this isn't a phenomena that is unique to the United States. I have a good friend from New Zealand, and he was doing research trying to figure out why does that gap occur. And in New Zealand, it's the difference between Maori students and European students. And the gap also exists. In fact, their gap is similar to what we see in Colorado. And educators are starting to ask important questions. We know the gaps occur, but what is causing that? When you have an instructor standing at the top, the head of the class, and lecturing the same information, why is it that majority students understand it and minority students are not getting it? Is it because minority students just don't have the brain power? I don't think so. What is causing that phenomena? Well, more and more research is leading us to a better understanding of what's causing that, and we need to change it. Colorado, we know, even though we have this gap, is going to lead the nation in the number of degrees needed, whether at the bachelor's degree or the associate's degree, to meet the current job market. And so we know that we must collaborate. There needs to be collaboration and consistent communication between all educational levels, between business and industry and government, and in my opinion, this is an imperative. We must work together to ensure that students leaving all educational levels have the skills needed to succeed in the workforce. And I'm not talking about lowering standards, but working together so that student performance will rise to a higher level of expectations. The Human Relations Award, as you know, is to recognize people who promote acceptance and respect for diversity. And for me, this means that those of you receiving the award recognize the value of individuals and the contributions that they make to society. You all understand the importance of opening doors and creating opportunities for all, knowing that anyone with the ability and the drive should be given those opportunities. So what is the impact of not holding these values in high regard? What happens when we ignore educational issues that I've mentioned? What kind of differences occur in a society when its citizens are uneducated? Well, many of these are obvious. Adult illiteracy causes us billions of dollars in lost productivity, unrealized tax revenue, welfare, crime, poverty, social ills, all of those kinds of things. And yet we know that 23% of the American population is right now functionally illiterate. There are impacts to health systems. Productivity in the workforce suffers, as I mentioned. The criminal justice system is impacted. America's youth are impacted because when you have children whose parents are illiterate, they end up starting behind in schools. And of course, we end up with an undereducated or uneducated electorate. Over this past weekend, because at Colorado State University, this is the time when we celebrate graduations and we celebrate lots of accomplishments that have occurred during the year. And this past weekend, I attended the celebration of graduates. And it is a celebration of graduates for students from the cultural centers, also GLBT, women's programs, international programs. And I was reminded that when I came to Colorado State University, I was hard-pressed to find another student in the classroom that looked like me. And now we are celebrating and recognizing not only the fact that hundreds of these students have graduated, but they have contributed so much to the university. Virtually all of the students had been involved in social justice issues, have served as mentors, leaders. They have worked in K-12, they have founded organizations on campus, and clearly many of them have left having achieved significant academic excellence. These students were able to fulfill their dreams because the university embraced the notion of diversity. And those students, have left the university a better place than when they found it. And I'm confident that the winners of today's awards are well positioned to do the same for our community, the city of Fort Collins. Again, I congratulate all of you, and I thank you for inviting me to the celebration.
Hi, everyone. My name is Myles Crane. I am from the Human Relations Commission, which I'll refer to as HRC going forward. I have the privilege of announcing the senior awards, but prior to that is Norberto Valdez here, and this is Kent D. Bryans from the Human Relations Commission. Norberto won an award last year, and it's typical that they come up, but I don't believe he's here today. So, will the Reverend Father Don Willette please come to the front? Our first nominee has extensive experience as a colonel and chaplain in the U.S. Air Force. For the past 15 years, he's devoted himself tirelessly to the student community at CSU. He brings to the students a message of universal acceptance and peace and human understanding. He continues to serve as a role model for global acceptance, welcoming all people, regardless of nationality, race, skin color, accent, age, disability, gender, faith orientation, and so forth. And when students run into tough times, spiritually, financially, physically, other emotionally, socially, he is there as a pillar of support. His work has also been instrumental in building a hospital and orphanage in the country of Ghana. Without further ado, please join the Human Relations Commission in recognizing the Reverend Father Don Willette for his inspired dedication to social justice and human compassion. Is that correct? We have him stand here? Okay. Will Charley Langer please come forward? Is Charley here today? Yes, he is. Our next nominee is a retired teacher who has, for the past 10 years, graciously and enthusiastically given hundreds of hours of his personal time teaching Latino, African American, Asian, and all other boys and girls ages grades 6 through 9 at Weber Middle School. He's been teaching them mathematics. Consistently and selflessly, Charley Langer has been there to increase their mathematics competency and skills of the Weber students. His work has enabled many students to increase their self-confidence and to move on and transition to the next grade level. It is because of people like Charley that all of us here today can feel a little bit more confident that students of the future will have a better grasp of mathematics and hopefully the related STEM disciplines to help our country grow. Please join the Human Relations Commission in recognizing Charley for the wonderful support he has given so many of his students at Weber Middle School. Will the Honorable Doug Hutchinson please come forward? If any of you have the chance or had the chance to speak with Mayor Karen Wykenot or any of the members of City Council, such as Lisa Papa or Ben Manville, who are here today, and you were to ask them, where do you spend most of your time or a considerable portion of your time on a daily basis? Undoubtedly, you will hear them truthfully respond that they're working with human relations, background diversity, and making our community more inclusive, sustainable, and an even better place for its future growth. They might even acknowledge that they are building on the foundations laid by their predecessors. Our next Senior Award nominee is a Fort Collins cornerstone builder, a former 3-term mayor who previously had 33 years as lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force, and he worked with Defense Intelligence. His career has provided exemplary public service, and often he was an advocate for seniors, doing this both as a liaison to the Senior Advisory Board as well as in his role as mayor. And in his role helping seniors, he focused considerably on human dignity. He also oversaw the community of Fort Collins, that itself was committed to the respect and acceptance of others, as well as an open, civil, and friendly culture. Please join the HRC in recognizing the Honorable Doug Hutchinson as a Senior Award nominee for his contributions to our great community. Will Emily Connor please come forward? And you'll notice on your Emily Connor, you'll notice on your program, Emily is listed under the Adult Awards. That was a minor snafu. She's actually a nominee for the Senior Awards. Emily Connor has responded to an ever-increasing number of people impacted and affected by Alzheimer's. She has added to the training, the support, the understanding for caregivers, parents, spouses, older relatives, and friends who get lost in the day-by-day nightmare that Alzheimer's presents. Emily runs the Alzheimer's program with heartfelt dignity and grace. She is a special person who enables so many of us in our quest for meaning and care right here in Fort Collins, where the senior demographic is rapidly growing. Please join the HRC in recognizing Emily Connor as a nominee for the Senior Award. Will Sue Elliott please step forward? Sue Elliott is a retired middle school teacher who for the past 10 years, quietly and unassumingly, has done monumental volunteer service at the Larimer County Detention Center. You see, Sue has a deep compassion for human dignity and acceptance. She has tutored the incarcerated, helping them improve their reading skills. She has taught inmates how to read so that they can better articulate their thoughts, communicate with their families, read to their children, and find hope, self-purpose, self-worth, and self-respect. Her work has been immeasurably successful, enabling many underprivileged people in our society to pass their GEDs and provide a sense of hope to those who want and need to make positive life changes. Please join the Human Relations Commission in recognizing Sue Elliott as this year's 2012 Human Relations Senior Award recipient. Thank you all. It is now my pleasure to introduce Christine Hayes from the Human Relations Commission to present the Youth Awards.
Welcome, and I wanted to say that the following 6 members under the youth category kind of changed the whole idea of it takes a village to raise a child, because I want to let you know that all 6 of them are definitely raising the standards for this entire village. And I invite all of you to hoot and holler for each of them as they come up and you hear their story. So could we please have Summer Goodson come up? Summer Goodson's home, as well as the entire Bender Mobile Home Park, was recently demolished. As a neighborhood organized to secure funding from the city for moving expenses, Summer not only attended each meeting, but created pictures and snowflakes for each participant to show how much she cared. She attended city council meetings, and on one occasion, she spoke in front of 100 individuals during a forum, Mobile Home Parks, a vanishing source of affordable housing, explaining her situation and experiences surrounding this very important issue. Summer's compassion, caring, and involvement clearly demonstrate that as a 9-year-old, she is not only years ahead of her peers, she is a model for us all. Thank you, Summer. Oh, 7-year-old, thank you for the correction. Summer, thank you. Would Hadar Karni please come forward? Is Hadar not here? Well, let's listen to her story anyway, okay? Hadar Karni dedicates herself to special needs and at-risk students since the age of 10 due to the inspiration of a disabled 5th grade classmate. She began volunteering within her elementary school class and continued throughout junior high. Although she has worked specifically with cerebral palsy and autistic students, Hadar has extended her influence to all of her peers by working with the Fort Collins High School administration to start an anti-bullying club. 2 years later as a janitor, she has retained her original focus while immersing herself in other activities, including Amnesty International, addressing homelessness, volunteering for Special Olympics, and the R Word campaign. She's an outstanding example of the difference one person can make, and so let's just send our gratitude out to her and hope that she can hear us. Karen Perez, please come forward. Karen Perez makes a tremendous impact within our community, as well as within the Poudre High School community. At PHS, Karen renewed the Hispanic Youth Promoting Excellence, or the HYPE chapter, and began the Hispanic Latina Leadership Institute, known as HLLI, as well as working with the Ambassadors Program to create awareness of teen dating violence, suicide prevention, and sexual assault issues. She mentors freshmen and an elementary student as part of the Poudre PAL program. Within our community, Karen works with Supergirls, a part of the Sexual Assault Victims Advocate Center, is a member of the steering committee for the Journey, a Young Women's Conference, and she is a founding member of Doing It, Think Ahead, a pregnancy prevention project. Karen's involvement goes far beyond the above descriptions, and as a senior, she will soon be taking her drive, passion, and intellect to a new and very lucky venue. Thank you, Karen. Chiara Soth, could you please come forward? Chiara Soth involves herself in many areas. Recognized in middle school for caring, respect, responsibility, and excellence, Chiara has exhibited all of these traits by working with Native Americans on a reservation and through her activities as a member of the National Charity League. Through the National Charity League, Chiara has become a volunteer at Respite Care and plans to create a fundraiser at Fossil Ridge High School. As her nominator states, Chiara has displayed outstanding character and acceptance through a generous spirit. She mentors these characteristics within her school setting by refusing to gossip and by her natural gift of kindness and acceptance. We look forward to hearing more about Chiara's involvement through her next 3 years at Fossil Ridge High School. Thank you. Would Connor Kelly please come forward? Connor Kelly has made a major impact on the Fossil Ridge High School Fort Collins community due to spearheading the campaign Spread the Word to End the Word in northern Colorado. The campaign replaces the R word used to denigrate someone who is cognitively impaired and seeks to replace it with the word respect. Connor began this campaign and spoke with teachers, school officials, and community members, as well as obtaining posters, T-shirts, and wristbands for students throughout the Poudre School District. He also presents the campaign at schools and mentors others to be involved, such as collecting pledges. On March 7th, his hard work paid off. Thousands of Fort Collins students took the pledge, and many schools are now individually involved in their own Spread the Word campaign. Connor deserves our respect and is our 2012 Co-Human Relations Award recipient. Congratulations. Pranaya Sate, please come forward. Pranaya Sate is commended for her excellent leadership, organizational, and personal skills on behalf of Fort Collins youth. As the chairperson of the City of Fort Collins Youth Advisory Board and a member of the Larimer County Youth Advisory Board, she helped organize the Make It Stop 2011 anti-bullying campaign, which was not only well-attended, but has encouraged schools to build a foundation from the skills learned at the conference. Her Youth Advisory Board leadership encouraged engagement in Planned Fort Collins, Healthier Communities Coalition, and the Great Colorado Outdoors. Her membership in the Colorado Youth Advisory Council resulted in addressing the issue of teen suicide and creating a resolution passed in the Colorado Senate. In addition to her devotion and attention to youth-oriented concerns, Pranaya also is a current organizer of the Diversity Conference for High Schools in Colorado. Pranaya models integrity and commitment as the Co-Human Relations Award recipient. Congratulations. Let's just hoop and holler one last time. Woo, 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 woo. And I'm going to bring Preeti Sate forward to to announce the adult awards. Excuse me. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming. I would like to announce the nomination category for the adult award. I would like to tell the name of the nominees first, and I would like them to wait here for me, with me. I would also like to request Del Rey to be here. Is Del Rey here? Okay. Then in that case, I might request one of the HRC board members to award whosoever the recipient for the adult nomination is. So I'll start with Karen Wong Brown. Karen, could you please come up? Karen Wong Brown. She is a volunteer director of diversity at CSU. She has been volunteering in our community for many years in numerous organizations, including the Human Relations Commission, CSU International Office, and the Asian Pacific American Cultural Center. She has been liaison to Chinese students and the faculty and coordinated workshops on assimilation and acceleration for the women and the Gender Advocacy Office. She has also volunteered at Poudre Valley Hospital in emergency room, providing one-on-one counseling for families. Karen, your contributions are greatly appreciated and recognized by the community. I would like to invite Joaquin Jimenez. Joaquin founded Grupo Quetzalcoatl, name of the ancient Mayan deity, in 1997. He dedicates his energy and time teaching youth in our community about traditional Mexican dance and culture, while giving them a deeper understanding and appreciation of their roots and engaging them in meaningful artistic work. He is motivated by his love of dance and Mexican culture and his desire to provide youth with healthy, purposeful activity. The costume dancers of the grupo perform traditional Mexican as well as ancient Aztec and Mayan dances. Most dancers are from the age of 9 to 20, but everybody is welcome. The Fort Collins community is grateful to Joaquin Jimenez for bringing us a beautiful piece of Mexico. We are proud to honor his efforts. Daniel Balski. Daniel currently works as a student activities coordinator. He is an exceptionally strong advocate for acceptance and respect in our community. His tireless work involves promoting Fort Collins as an open and diverse community by forming groups and activities around understanding. Daniel has lived in Fort Collins for 5 years and has worked with CSU and Fort Collins FRCC. He brings awareness to the greater Fort Collins community. Daniel has also been instrumental in creating activities in Front Range Community College campus to teach students nonviolence and acceptance. Please join me in praising Daniel Balski advocacy for promoting respect for diversity in our community. Now I would like to invite Dr. Martin Carcassonne. Dr. Martin Carcassonne, he is an assistant CSU professor of communications and is founder and director of Center for Public Deliberation. His original and exceptional work in Fort Collins and Northern Colorado has achieved national prominence for its inclusivity. He teaches students and other volunteer skills to facilitate public discussions, foster better understanding, and community problem solving. He is passionate about leading by example and teaching respect for the human rights of minorities and the underprivileged, as well as all the people for greater good of our nation. Because of Martin's outstanding contributions to promoting positive dialogue in the Fort Collins community, he is recognized as the recipient of the Adult Human Relations Award.
Good morning to all of you. I'm a new member just this year of the Human Relations Commission, and as such, I am just very honored to be introducing the nominees and the award recipient of our police and emergency services. Would Sergeant Mark Weber and Sergeant Jeff Van Hook please come to the front? Sergeant Mark Weber and Sergeant Jeff Van Hook, both employees of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, have for years volunteered their times and efforts coordinating various events that support those in our community with special needs, including Special Olympic athletes. These events, Polar Plunge, Tip a Cop, and the Torch Run, while primarily fundraisers, also encourage public awareness, provide a venue for the athletes and their families to participate in community, and encourage rapport between law enforcement and the special needs community, and indeed the Fort Collins community in general. Please recognize Sergeant Mark Weber and Sergeant Jeff Van Hook for their support of and dedication to our special needs community. Would nominee Captain Teresa Hergen-Rader, firefighter Louise Abbott, and firefighter Ellen Wright please come to the front, if you're all here. Please recognize Captain Teresa Hergen-Rader, firefighter Louise Abbott, and firefighter Ellen Wright for their exemplary contributions to the community and perseverance in promoting careers in the fire service to women and minorities. Their daily contact with all citizens at an emergency scene or a community event is conducted with superior skills, respect, courtesy, and professionalism. Would Lieutenant Chris Wolf please come up to the front? I've got to say that we were only allowed 5 sentences for each of these people, and it was quite a chore trying to put this together with all of his dedicated efforts over the years. He is a dedicated member of 28 years in the CSU Police Department. He's spent countless hours ensuring the health and safety of the campus community. In more recent years, he has served as a liaison between the police department and the CSU Cultural and Resource Centers, including the Native American Cultural Center specifically. He has dedicated many hours to increase understanding and communication between groups such as the NACC and the police force. This past year, Lieutenant Wolf instructed a hate crimes class for the various Cultural and Resource Center staff and was prominent in designing and presenting a class called Policing in the 21st Century, which spotlighted for staff the challenges of police operating in an ever-changing world environment. Please recognize Lieutenant Chris Wolf as this year's Human Relations Police and Emergency Services Award recipient for his years of commitment to community safety and diversity.
Hi, I'm James Lesko from the Human Relations Commission. The first nominee is Lesher Middle School. Lesher Middle School with Tom Dodd as principal, and please come up, yes. Lesher Middle School with Tom Dodd as principal is recognized for creating and maintaining continuous improvement of a flourishing educational environment for students of diverse backgrounds. The school takes swift action to deal with any bullying incidents. This secures the dignity and well-being of each student. The school promotes a positive, respectful culture for all. Please recognize Lesher Middle School supporting dignity and respect for all students. The next nominee is Rocky Mountain Medical Outfitting and Recycling. Heather Holmes and her organization, Rocky Mountain Medical Outfitting and Recycling, are an amazing example of one person seeing a need and making a difference. As the mother of a disabled child, Ms. Holmes had an ongoing need for medical equipment and supplies as her child grew. She started collecting and recycling equipment, donating it free to those in need. Heather and her parents volunteer their time, but now the program has added 3 part-time employees and is looking to expand to Denver, Cheyenne, and Greeley. The community owes Heather Holmes recognition and gratitude for her energy and perseverance in filling a community need. The next nominee is Polaris Expeditionary School. Polaris Expeditionary School with Joe Garonsky as principal is the only school within PSD which utilizes 10 design principles to achieve the mission to develop 21st century learners through the rigorous academic coursework, high-quality adventure experiences, character development, and leadership opportunities. Their motto of "We are the crew, not the passengers," comes with a basic belief that each student is an integral part of the school. Examples of the school's outreach efforts are students volunteering with the Elder House, the Food Bank, Eco Thrift, Resource Recycling, Grant Family Farms, Happy Heart Farm, as well as Knitting Hats for Curing Cancer Kindness program. An intensive course in sign language was featured in a 30-minute video on Channel 10. Please recognize Polaris as a leader in promoting respect and acceptance. The next nominee is Global Visionaries, and there are nobody's here to accept that award, but we'll hear their story anyway. Joe Fontana, assistant principal at Poudre High School, brought the program of Global Visionaries to Fort Collins 10 years ago. Every year, 20 to 30 teenagers travel to Guatemala to spend 2 weeks building schools, working with physically and mentally handicapped orphans, and planting trees to prevent deforestation. How does this impact Fort Collins? Well, students put in 40 hours of community service each during the school year, spending time reading weekly at Irish Elementary, volunteering at Respite Care, preparing mulberry community gardens for summer planning, collecting and delivering food donations, and the list goes on. Global Visionaries is recognized for its philosophy of think globally but act locally. So. The next nominee is Centennial High School. Centennial High School, with Mike Roberts as principal, is recognized for serving at-risk students ages 14 to 21 in Fort Collins since 1976, with a teaching staff of 1, support staff of 4, and a school-based health clinic. The enrollment includes over 200 students. Centennial's mission is based on dignity and respect, to include and support all students who are eager to reach their goal of a diploma. Teaching problem-solving skills which apply academically, behaviorally, and socially helps students to become self-reliant, self-supporting, contributing individuals. We celebrate Centennial High School as an alternative high school that features a learning environment based on self-improvement and acceptance of individual differences. The next nominee is Center for Public Deliberation. CSU's Center for Public Deliberation and its founder, Dr. Martine Carcassonne, are nominated because of the unique impact this passionately inclusive organization continues to have on the Fort Collins community. It is dedicated to enhancing local democracy through improved public communication and community problem solving. CPD includes about 15 CSU undergraduates and a few community volunteers under the leadership of Dr. Martine Carcassonne and Dr. Leah Sprain. Local public forums have included water issues related to the Poudre River, growing older in Fort Collins, affordable housing, as well as the hot topic of a new CSU football stadium. Please recognize the Center for Public Deliberation for its efforts to promote the development of a vibrant, deliberative democracy in northern Colorado. The Sexual Assault Victims Advocate Center is the next nominee. The Sexual Assault Victims Advocate Center, or SAVA, with Luann DeCourcy as executive director, provided over 17,000 units of service to 612 victims of sexual assault through at least one of the services available: therapy, support groups, crisis hotline, medical or legal advocacy. SAVA began as a rape crisis hotline in 1976, and since 2003, when it became an independent nonprofit agency, is the only sexual assault victim service provider. It actively maintains a diverse staff and volunteer force that is representative of its client base, which includes a large Spanish-speaking population, a significant number of LGBTQ, and a growing number of men. SAVA continues to provide the highest quality service to those who have been assaulted so that they may continue to pursue their careers, education, family goals, or any other chosen pursuit. The HRC is proud to recognize SAVA for its service to the community. The next nominee is Intercultural Community Builders. Kind of stumbled that. Intercultural Community Builders. Do we have a representative from them? Oh, thanks. The recipient of this year's Human Relations Commission's Organization Award is Intercultural Community Builders, with Carol Miller as founder. For over 35 years, Carol has worked quietly behind the scenes, promoting respect for diversity through classes, programs, and training that she has developed over the years. 3-day workshops for teens and a separate one for adults provide intercultural skill building and prejudice reduction education. but the education doesn't stop at the end of class, because participants are required to develop mission statements and action plans to be implemented at a school or workplace. Promoting respect and diversity and human dignity is a way of life for Carol Miller. So please recognize her and the Intercultural Community Builders organization as this year's award recipient. Now I'd like to ask Deborah Young and Leah Hansen to present the Humans Commission Award, or Women's Commission Award.
Thank you, Jason. I'm honored to be here and be around all of these people who contribute so much to Fort Collins. I wanted to remind you that today is May Day. So we're looking around the room at all of these flowers of our community. Remember that May Day was, in one version, was named for the Roman goddess of flowers, which is Flora. So just remember that we're all flowers of our community. The Women's Commission's award is the Marcial Ann Wood Award. This was established in 1992 to acknowledge women and men who have significantly contributed to the status of women in our community. The award is in memory of Marcial Norby Wood, who volunteered in Fort Collins for 40 years. Ms. Wood established or helped to establish the Women's Resource Center, United Daycare Center, Volunteers Clearinghouse. She was also the president of the League of Women Voters. We have 3 nominees, and I'm going to read a brief description of each one, and I'd like each of you to come forward, and then at the end we'll announce the award. So our first nominee is Mary Hutchinson, who is nominated by David McComb. Mary has worked for nearly 20 years on behalf of local women. Recently, she served as the executive director of Executives Partnering to Invest in Children. She helped found Women Give, an initiative that funds child care while mothers go to school, and she was instrumental in establishing the 211 phone number in northern Colorado, which provides information about community resources. Mary developed and managed 3 community-wide initiatives aimed at eliminating poverty in northern Colorado, and served on the boards of the Poudre River Public Library District, the 2012 Keep Fort Collins Great campaign, Beat Street, Inc., and worked for United Way of Larimer County. Our next nominee is Sasha Mahoney, nominated by David Mahoney. Sasha? Sasha is a corporal at the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, and for 6 years she has volunteered to teach a class called Sexual Harassment, Assault, and Rape Prevention. These are classes for women, and she's empowered many women in the community through her work. Thank you, Sasha. And our third nominee is Darcy McClure, nominated by Jan Carroll. Darcy serves as co-chair of Women Give, which supports economic self-sufficiency for women and girls in Larimer County. She's vice president of community investment of United Way of Larimer County. In her past roles at the Women's Center of Larimer County and the City of Loveland, as well as in her current position, Darcy has been and is a passionate and vocal advocate of women in our community. In 2009, she was awarded the Collaborator of the Year at the State of the Community event to honor her accomplishments in developing and supporting programs to assist women and children with lower income and developing partnerships among local nonprofits, local government, and the faith community. Darcy has been supporting these vulnerable populations for nearly 20 years. Thank you. And the recipient of our 2012 award is Mary Hutchinson.
To start things off, I just want to say a real quick thank you to our colleagues and associates on the Women's Commission, my colleagues on the Human Relations Commission, and at this time, can we please ask all current and past members of city boards, commissions, the mayor, and those who work in the city to please stand, and let's give them a round, please. We would also like to ask all the nominators of today's nominees and recipients to please stand. And finally, one final Yahoo for the nominees and recipients of today's awards. Would you please stand? To everybody else who hasn't stood, please, thank you for coming today, and everybody have a great week, and thanks again. Bye-bye.